Conk's Corner time! Hello, everybody. Welcome to Conk's Corner, the show where I punch myself in the face repeatedly. I'm actually reading Harry Potter every day because I've not read it before. This is my first time reading Harry Potter. We've been reading this since March, since quarantine times. It was a time for us just to get away from everything, from all the sorrows and from all the maybe the pressing stuff of the world, to just enjoy a book for a while. So we've been doing that for a while. I have not read the book. Please don't spoil anything in the comments or in the chat, because I'd like to experience everything for the first time. And what a wild ride it's been. What kinds of twists and turns. I see people are joining the chat for the first time. Laz Milan. Also Santiago A. Welcome to the live. Welcome. I hope you enjoy this first time being live and being on the chat. Okay, so what happened last time? Oh, right. They met what's his name? That pompous teacher who only cares about fame and riches. I forgot his name already. Then we got to the Weasleys in book number 6. That's where we are right now. They got to the Weasleys, and Mr. Weasley got a promotion. Mrs. Weasley is the same as ever. Lovely, sweet Mrs. Weasley. And we're going to see what else will happen before they actually get to school. We're already 4 chapters in, and they haven't even got to school yet. Which is, I think, a new thing. I think before they've gotten to school pretty early. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? Wah. Wah, wah, wah. Not bad, not bad, not bad at all. I have to go to sleep now, but I can't. Good night, Daniela. Sleep well, Slughorn. That was the horn of Slig. Okay, friends, we're gonna get started here. They're currently going upstairs. Hey, buddy, come here. Come here, buddy. Oh, there he is. This is also my dog, Dexter. We usually have a Dex cam, but just had to do a couple of things. Hello, there he is. Oh, he's giving. Oh, Dexter. 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 Hello. Oh, Dexter, it's been so long. Lick my face, Dexter. All right. There you are, boy. Let's get started on the reads. Everything okay with the baby? Yes, there's a baby in the house. The baby is fine and cute as ever. Okay, we're going to get started. They're going upstairs. Fred and George's bedroom was on the 2nd floor. Mrs. Weasley pointed her wand at a lamp on the bedside table, and it ignited at once, bathing the room in a pleasant golden glow. Through a large vase of flowers had been placed on a desk in front of the small window. Their perfume could not disguise the lingering smell of what Harry thought was gunpowder. A considerable amount of floor space was devoted to a vast number of unmarked, sealed cardboard boxes, amongst which stood Harry's school trunk. The room looked as though it was being used as a temporary warehouse. Hedwig hooted happily at Harry from her perch on top of a large wardrobe. Again, alliteration. Hedwig hooted happily at Harry. Then took off through the window. Harry knew she had been waiting to see him before going hunting. Oh. Harry bade Mrs. Weasley good night, put on, 1 second. Let's get this going. Harry bade Mrs. Weasley good night, put on pajamas, and got into one of the beds. There was something hard in the pillowcase. He groped inside it and pulled out a sticky purple and orange sweet, which he recognized as a puking pastille. Smiling to himself, he rolled over and was instantly asleep. Oh, okay, well, it's nighttime, right? There we go. Nighttime. I thought the room was where she... okay, I'm not going to look at the chat for now. Yes, Hedwig voice. That's it. Seconds later, or so it seemed to Harry, he was woken by what sounded like cannon fire as the door burst open. Sitting bolt upright, he heard the rasp of the curtains being pulled back. The dazzling sunlight seemed to... Okay, it's sunlight now. Seemed to poke him hard in both eyes. Shielding them with one hand, he groped hopelessly for his glasses with the other. What's going on? A loud voice. I don't know whose voice it is. We didn't know you were already here, said a loud and excited voice, and he received a sharp blow to the top of the head. Ron, don't hit him, said a girl's voice reproachfully. Harry's hand found his glasses, and he shoved them on, though the light was so bright he could hardly see anyway. A long, looming shadow quivered in front of him for a moment. He blinked, and Ron Weasley came into focus. Ron Weasley! Came into focus, grinning down at him. All right? Never been better, said Harry, rubbing the top of his head and slumping back on his pillows. You? Not bad, said Ron, pulling over a cardboard box and sitting on it. When did you get here? Mum's only just told us. About 1 o'clock this morning. Were the muggles all right? Did they treat you okay? Same as usual, said Harry, as Hermione perched herself on the edge of his bed. They didn't talk to me much, but I like it better that way. How are you, Hermione? Oh, I'm fine, said Hermione, who was scrutinizing Harry as though he was sickening for something. It's a pasty. It's a pasty. It's a pasty! He thought he knew what was behind this, and as he had no wish to discuss Sirius's death or any other miserable subject at the moment, he said, What's the time? Have I missed breakfast? Don't worry about that. Mum's bringing you up a tray. She reckons you look underfed, said Ron, rolling his eyes. So, what's been going on? Nothing much. I've just been stuck at my aunt and uncle's, haven't I? Come off it, said Ron. You've been off with Dumbledore. It wasn't that exciting. He just wanted me to help him persuade this old teacher to come out of retirement. His name's Horace Slughorn. Oh, said Ron, looking disappointed. We thought. Hermione flashed a warning look at Ron, and Ron changed tack at top speed. We thought it'd be something like that. You did? Said Harry, amused. Yeah. Now Umbridge has left. Obviously, we need a new defense against the dark arts teacher, don't we? So, what's he like? He looks a bit like a walrus. And he used to be head of Slytherin, said Harry. Something wrong, Hermione? She was watching him as though expecting strange symptoms to manifest themselves at any moment. She rearranged her features hastily in an unconvincing smile. 1 second. There we go. Who's saying this? Oh yeah. No, of course not. So, did Slughorn seem like he'll be a good teacher? Dunno, said Harry. He can't be worse than Umbridge, can he? Who's this? Ron's younger sister, Ginny. I know someone who's worse than Umbridge, said a voice from the doorway. Ron's younger sister slouched into the room, looking irritable. Hi, Harry. What's up with you? Ron asked. It's her, said Ginny, plonking herself down on Harry's bed. She's driving me mad. What's she done now? Asked Hermione sympathetically. It's the way she talks to me. You'd think I was about 3. I know, said Hermione, dropping her voice. She's so full of herself. Harry was astonished to hear Hermione talking about Mrs. Weasley like this, and could not blame Ron for saying angrily, Can't you two lay off her for 5 seconds? Oh, that's right, defend her, snapped Ginny. We all know you can't get enough of her. Is something afoot? This seemed an odd comment to make about Ron's mother, starting to feel that he was missing something. Harry said, Who are you? But his question was answered before he could finish it. The bedroom door flew open again, and Harry instinctively yanked the bed covers up to his chin so hard that Harry and Ginny slid off the bed onto the floor. A young woman was standing in the doorway, a woman of such breathtaking beauty. If this is somebody new, please give me some adjectives. Just adjectives based on the books. That's it. Such breathtaking beauty that the room seemed to have become strangely airless. She was tall and willowy with long blonde hair and appeared to emanate a faint silvery glow. To complete this vision of perfection, she was carrying a heavily laden breakfast tray. All right, she said in a throaty voice. Throaty voice? It has been too long. As she swept over the threshold towards him, Mrs. Weasley was revealed, bobbing along in her wake, looking rather cross. Fleur de la Coeur. Okay. Fleur de la Coeur. She's the one from the other school who competed, right? She's the gorgeous woman that everybody wanted to be with. Right. Okay.
There is no need to bring up the tray. I was just about to do it myself.
It was no trouble, said Fleur de la Coeur, setting the tray across Harry's knees, and then swooping to kiss him on each cheek.
It is I, Fleur de la Coeur. Come here, Harry. I will kiss your face all over. Come here, I said, Harry. I will kiss your face all over.
There we go. Beauxbaton, French school. Very proud of France for that. Kissing him on each cheek. He felt the places where her mouth had touched him burn.
I've been longing to see him. You remember my sister, Gabrielle? She never stops talking about Harry Potter. She will be delighted to see you again.
Oh, is she here too? Can somebody remind me what Gabrielle's deal was in all this? I kind of forget Gabriel. That was a couple books ago, right? No. Somebody said no. If we didn't meet Gabrielle, I think we did, but just remind me if we did. Is she here too? Harry croaked.
No, silly boy.
Said Fleur with a tinkling laugh.
I mean next summer, when we... But do you not know?
Her great blue eyes widened, and she looked reproachfully at Mrs. Weasley, who said,
I haven't got around to telling him yet.
Fleur turned back to Harry, swinging her silvery sheet of hair so that it whipped Mrs. Weasley across the face.
Bill and I are going to be married.
Oh, wow. Okay. She is the one he saved too in the lake. She was a hostage. Right. I don't know what to think about his French accent. It's accurate and sad at the same time. Why is it sad? I want to know why it's sad. Please, fill me in. Okay, where are we? Oh, said Harry blankly. He could not help noticing how Mrs. Weasley, Hermione, and Ginny were all determinedly avoiding each other's gaze. Wow, congratulations. Where are we? She swooped down upon him and kissed him again. What is her deal?
Bill is very busy at the moment, working very hard, and I only remember part-time at Gringotts for my English, so he brought me here for a few days to get to know his family properly. I was so pleased to hear you would be coming. There isn't much to do here. Unless you like cooking and chickens. Well, enjoy your breakfast, Harry.
With these words, she turned gracefully and seemed to float out of the room, closing the door quietly behind her. Mrs. Weasley made a noise that sounded like...
Mum hates her,
said Ginny quietly.
I do not hate her, said Mrs. Weasley in a cross whisper. I just think they've hurried into this engagement, that's all.
They've known each other for a year, said Ron, who looked oddly groggy and was staring at the closed door. He's still so into her. Oh, that's so funny.
But that's not very long. I know why it's happened, of course. It's all this uncertainty with you-know-who coming back. People think they might be dead tomorrow, so they're rushing all sorts of decisions they'd normally take time over. It was the same last time. He was powerful. People eloping left, right and centre.
Including you and Dad, said Ginny slyly.
Yes, well... Your father and I were made for each other. What was the point in waiting? Said Mrs. Weasley. Whereas Bill and Fleur... Well, what have they really got in common? He's a hard-working, down-to-earth sort of person, whereas she's a cow.
said Ginny, nodding.
But Bill's not that down to earth. He's a curse breaker, isn't he? He likes a bit of adventure, a bit of glamour. I expect that's why he's gone for phlegm.
Phlegm? Phlegm? Oh, that's just a nickname for her. Oh. Because every English professor I had during my scholarship was some kind of dismayed to hear us try to make an English accent. Okay, gotcha.
Oh, stop calling her that, Ginny, said Mrs. Weasley sharply, as Harry and Hermione laughed. Well, I better get on. Eat your eggs while they're warm, Harry.
Looking careworn, she left the room. Ron still seemed slightly punch-drunk. He was shaking his head experimentally, like a dog trying to rid its ears of water. Don't you get used to her if she's staying in the same house? Harry asked. Well, you do, said Ron, but if she jumps out at you unexpectedly, like then...
It's pathetic,
said Hermione furiously, striding away from Ron as far as she could go and turning to face him with her arms folded once she had reached the wall.
You don't really want her around forever?
Ginny asked Ron incredulously. I keep forgetting to give Ginny also a little bit of a, because the Weasleys all have little bit of a Cockney in them, right? They're not super high class, so I keep on forgetting to give Ginny the same.
You don't really want her around forever?
Ginny asked Ron incredulously. When he merely shrugged, she said,
Well, Mum's going to put a stop to it if she can. I bet you anything.
How's she going to manage that? Asked Harry.
She keeps trying to get Tonks around for dinner. I think she's hoping Bill will fall for Tonks instead. I hope she does. I'd much rather have her in the family.
Yeah, that'll work, said Ron sarcastically. Listen, no bloke in his right mind's going to fancy Tonks when Fleur's around. I mean, Tonks is okay looking when she isn't doing stupid things to her hair and her nose, but... Ooh, Ron.
She's a damned sight nicer than Phlegm, said Ginny. And she's more intelligent. She's an aura, said Hermione from the corner.
Fleur's not stupid. She was good enough to enter the Triwizard Tournament, said Harry.
Not you as well, said
Hermione bitterly.
I suppose you like the way Phlegm says, Ari, do you?
asked Ginny scornfully. No, said Harry, wishing he had spoken.
I was just saying, Fleur. I'd much rather have Tonks in the family, said Ginny. At least she's a laugh.
She hasn't been much of a laugh lately, said Ron. Every time I've seen her, she's looked more like Moaning Myrtle.
That's not fair, snapped Hermione. She still hasn't got over what happened. You know. I mean, he was her cousin.
Oh, what was Moaning Myrtle's thing again? Unless this is not public information. What is her deal again? Harry's heart sank. They'd arrived at Sirius. Oh, Sirius is Moaning Myrtle's cousin. He picked up a fork and began shoveling scrambled eggs into his mouth, hoping to deflect any invitation to join in this part of the conversation.
Tom's voice is dry. He needs to moisten it with some water.
Tonk's cousin, right. Tonks and Sirius barely knew each other, said Ron. Sirius was in Azkaban half her life. Before that, their families never met.
That's not the point, said Hermione. She thinks it was her fault he died.
How does she work that one out? Asked Harry in spite of himself.
Well, she was fighting Bellatrix Lestrange, wasn't she? I think she feels that if only she had finished her off, Bellatrix couldn't have killed Sirius.
That's stupid, said Ron.
It's survivor's guilt, said Hermione. I know Lupin's tried to talk her round, but she's still really down. She's actually having trouble with her metamorphosing.
Okay, wait. What? Moaning Myrtle fought Bellatrix Lestrange? Is that how she died? Unless we don't know this yet, don't tell me, but if we do. And what is metamorphosing again? She's having trouble with this? Wait, oh no. Tonks. Tonks is having trouble. Oh, I was getting confused. I thought it was Moaning Myrtle. Okay, gotcha. Tonks, not Myrtle. Thank you very much. I was like, this doesn't make any sense at all. Okay. She can't change her appearance like she used to, explained Hermione. I think her powers must have been affected by shock or something. I didn't know that could happen, said Harry. Nor did I, said Hermione. But I suppose if you're really depressed. The door opened again, and Mrs. Weasley popped her head back in again. Oh, Tonks is depressed. That's not fun.
Ginny, she whispered, come downstairs and help me with the lunch. I'm talking to this lot,
said Ginny, outraged.
Now,
said Mrs. Weasley, and withdrew.
She only wants me there so she doesn't have to be alone with phlegm,
said Ginny crossly. She swung her long red hair around in a very good imitation of Fleur, and pranced across the room with her arms held aloft like a ballerina. I like Ginny.
You lot had better come down quickly too, she said as she left.
Harry took advantage of the temporary silence to eat more breakfast. Hermione was peering into Fred and George's boxes, though every now and then she cast sideways looks at Harry. Ron, who was now helping himself to Harry's toast, was still gazing dreamily at the door. He's still thinking about Fleur. Lol, oh my god, she is sad like Myrtle. I love how you confuse the characters. Well, yeah. What's this? Hermione asked eventually, holding up what looked like a small telescope. Dunno, said Ron. But if Fred and George have left it here, it's probably not ready for the joke shop yet, so be careful. Your mum said the shop's going well, said Harry. Said Fred and George have got a real flair for business. That's an understatement, said Ron. They're raking in the galleons. Can't wait to see the place. We haven't been to Diagon Alley yet because Mum says Dad's got to be there for extra security. And he's been really busy at work, but it sounds excellent. And what about Percy? Asked Harry. The third eldest Weasley brother had fallen out with the rest of the family. Is he talking to your mum and dad again? Nope.
Idiot. It's time for John's premonition.
I bet. Yeah, obviously there's going to be some kind of battle at the end. I mean, it's a book. It's climactic. Everything's building towards there, so there's going to be some kind of battle. I bet that Percy is going to be on the other side. He's going to be on Voldemort's side. As many of the Ministry will be too. Wait, no. The Ministry is huge. There's so many people there, but he's going to be on Voldemort's side. That's what's going to happen. Yep. For sure. Okay. Is he talking to your mum and dad again? Nope, said Ron. But he knows your dad was right all along, now about Voldemort being back. Wait. Oh, Hermione. Dumbledore says people find it far easier to forgive others for being wrong than being right, said Hermione. I heard him telling your mum, Ron. People find it far easier to forgive others for being wrong than being right. Wow. That's a thinker. I like that. It's probably true. Somebody so far up their own butt, it's hard to tell I was wrong. Yeah, that's true. Sounds like the sort of mental thing Dumbledore would say. Premonition, there we go. Okay. Sorry. He's going to be giving me private lessons this year, said Harry conversationally. Ron choked on his bit of toast and Hermione gasped. You kept that quiet? Said Ron. I only just remembered, said Harry honestly. He told me last night in your broom shed. Blimey. Private lessons with Dumbledore, said Ron, looking impressed. I wonder why his voice tailed away. Harry saw him and Hermione exchanged looks. There's something going on there. Harry laid down his knife and fork, his heart beating rather fast considering that all he was doing was sitting in his bed. Dumbledore had said to do it. Why not now? He's going to tell him. He fixed his eyes on his fork, which was gleaming in the sunlight streaming onto his lap, and said, I don't know exactly why he's going to be giving me lessons, but I think it must be because of the prophecy. Neither Ron nor Hermione spoke. Harry had the impression that both had frozen. He continued, still speaking to his fork. You know, the one they were trying to steal at the Ministry. Nobody knows what it said, though, said Hermione quickly. It got smashed. Although the prophet says, began Ron, but Hermione said, shh! The prophets got it right, said Harry, looking up at them both with a great effort. Hermione seemed frightened and Ron amazed. That glass ball that smashed wasn't the only record of the prophecy. I heard the whole thing in Dumbledore's office. He was the one the prophecy was made to, so he could tell me. From what it said, Harry took a deep breath. It looks like I'm the one who's got to finish off Voldemort. At least, it said neither of us could live while the other one survives. The three of them gazed at each other in silence for a moment. Then there was a loud bang, and Hermione vanished behind a puff of black smoke. What? Hermione! Shouted Harry and Ron. The breakfast tray slid to the floor with a crash. What's going on? Hermione emerged, coughing, out of the smoke, clutching the telescope and sporting a brilliantly purple black eye. What? I squeezed it and it punched me. She gasped. Huh? What? Wait. Alicia Winquest's birthday and Liz. It's your birthday! It's your birthday! It's your birthday today! It's your birthday! It's your birthday! It's your birthday today! So have a happy birthday! Happy birthday! Happy birthday today! Happy birthday, you two. Oh, I need some water after that. And sure enough, they now saw a tiny fist on a long spring protruding from the end of the telescope. Oh, okay, I gotcha. Don't worry, said Ron, who was plainly trying not to laugh. Mum will fix that. Oh, she's good at healing minor injuries. Oh, well, never mind that now, said Hermione hastily. Harry. Oh, Harry. She sat down on the edge of his bed again. We wondered, after we got back from the Ministry. Obviously, we didn't want to say anything to you, but from what Lucius Malfoy said about the prophecy, how it was about you and Voldemort, well, we thought it might be something like this. Oh, Harry, she stared at him and then whispered. Are you scared? She's such a good friend. I love Hermione. Not as much as I was, said Harry. When I first heard it, I was. But now it seems as though I always knew I'd have to face him in the end. I think your roommates will worry about your mental health, John. Ah, they already do. Who's saying this? When we heard Dumbledore was collecting you in person, we thought he might be telling you something or showing you something to do with the prophecy, said Ron eagerly. And we were kind of right, weren't we? He wouldn't... Oh, turn the page! There we go. He wouldn't be giving you lessons if he thought you were a goner. Wouldn't waste his time. He must think you've got a chance. That's true, said Hermione. I wonder what he'll teach you, Harry. Really advanced defensive magic, probably? Powerful counter-curses? Anti-jinxes? Harry did not really listen. A warmth was spreading through him that had nothing to do with the sunlight. A tight obstruction in his chest seemed to be dissolving. Oh, that's nice. He knew that Ron and Hermione were more shocked than they were letting on. The mere fact that they were still there on either side of him, speaking bracing words of comfort, not shrinking from him as though he were contaminated or dangerous, was worth more than he could ever tell them. Ah, that's so nice. That's really nice. And evasive enchantments generally, concluded Hermione. Well, at least you know one lesson you'll be having this year. That's one more than Ron and me. I wonder when our OWL results will come in. Can't be long now. It's been a month, said Ron. Hang on, said Harry, as another part of the previous night's conversation came back to him. I think Dumbledore said our owl results will be arriving today. Today? Shrieked Hermione. Today? But why didn't you... Oh my god! You should have said... She leapt to her feet. I'm going to see whether any owls have come... But when Harry arrived downstairs 10 minutes later, fully dressed and carrying his empty breakfast tray, it was to find Hermione sitting at the kitchen table in great agitation, while Mrs. Weasley tried to lessen her resemblance to half a panda. It just won't budge, Mrs. Weasley was saying anxiously, standing over Hermione with her wand in her hand and a copy of The Healer's Helpmate. Oh, little Dexter's waiting by the door. Just about 20 more minutes, buddy. And a copy of The Healer's Helpmate open at Bruises, Cuts, and Abrasions. This has always worked before. I just can't understand it. It'll be Fred and George's idea of a funny joke, making sure it can't come off, said Ginny. But it's got to come off, squeaked Hermione. I can't go around looking like this forever. Huh? You won't, dear. We'll find an antidote, don't worry, said Mrs. Weasley soothingly. Bill told me our Fred and George are very amusing, said Fleur, smiling serenely. Yes, I can hardly breathe for laughing, snapped Hermione. She jumped up and started walking round and round the kitchen, twisting her fingers together. Oh, no, Dexter's fine. Sometimes he sits by the door because he's bored and wants to get out. And he'll get his W-A-L-K. When he hears that word, he goes crazy. In about, 20 minutes. Okay. She jumped up and started walking round and round the kitchen, twisting her fingers together. Mrs. Weasley, you're quite sure no owls have arrived this morning? Yes, dear. I never noticed, said Mrs. Weasley patiently. But it's barely 9. There's still plenty of time. I know I messed up ancient runes, muttered Hermione feverishly. I definitely made at least one serious mistranslation, and the defense against the dark arts practical was no good at all. I thought transfiguration went all right at the time, but looking back... Hermione, will you shut up? You're not the only one who's nervous, barked Ron. And when you've got your 10 outstanding owls... I don't know what that... Don't, said Hermione, flapping her hands hysterically. I know I failed everything! What happens if we fail? Harry asked the room at large, but it was again Hermione who answered. We discuss our options with our head of house. I asked Professor McGonagall at the end of last term. Harry's stomach squirmed. He wished he had eaten less breakfast. At Beauxbatons, said Fleur complacently. We had a different way of doing things. I think it was better. We sat our examinations after 6 years of study, not 5. And then Fleur's words were drowned in a scream. Hermione was pointing through the kitchen window. 3 black specks were clearly visible in the sky, growing larger all the time. They're definitely owls, said Ron hoarsely, jumping up to join Hermione at the window. And there are 3 of them, said Harry, hasting to her other side. Okay, here we go. We're going to find out what's going on. Ay. Remember my premonition? I do. I hate people who do this. Peace and trip up. One for each of us, said Hermione in a terrified... One for each of us, said Hermione in a terrified whisper. Oh no. She gripped both Harry and Ron tightly around the elbows. The owls were flying directly at the burrow. 3 handsome tawnies, each of which, it became clear as they flew lower over the path, leading up to the house, was carrying a large square envelope. Oh no, squealed Hermione. Mrs. Weasley squeezed past them and opened the kitchen window. 1, 2, 3. The owls soared through it and landed on the table in a neat line. All 3 of them lifted their right legs. Harry moved forwards. The letter addressed to him was tied to the leg of the owl in the middle. He untied it with fumbling fingers. To his left, Ron was trying to detach his own results. To his right, Hermione's hands were shaking so much she was making her white owl tremble. Nobody in the kitchen spoke. At last, Harry managed to detach the envelope. He slid it open quickly and unfolded the parchment inside. Ooh, here we go. Okay, here we go. Oh, wow. Okay, it's a full page of ordinary wizarding level results. This is for Harry, I think. Pass grades. Outstanding. Wait, what were the... Oh, right. There's O's, E's, A's, D's, T's, P's. Okay, I want to know what I'm reading here when it goes through. Can somebody fill me in on what the O's, the E's, the A's, the P's, the D's, the T's, and so on are standing for? Because I want to know as we go through. Because I don't want to be like, read it through and then not know after that. Also, I'm going to be trying something. This here's a little clicker. And it links to the Kindle thing. Not yet, but I'm going to set it up so I don't have to do this every time. So... let's see how that works. Okay, we have O for outstanding, E for exceeds expectations, A is acceptable. Okay, that makes sense. Then we have PDT, PDT and E. No, wait, PDT, that's it. P is poor, T is troll, D is dreadful. Okay, so which one's the lowest? I'm assuming PTD, which is... so I'm assuming it goes from O... from outstanding to exceeds expectations to acceptable to poor to dreadful to troll. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Ordinary wizarding. Oh my gosh. It tells me here. I thought that was like... it tells us. It tells me exactly what it says. I thought... I mistook it. Okay, well... there we go. Pass grades, outstanding. Oh, this is so dumb. That's so dumb. Okay. Harry James Potter has achieved astronomy. Acceptable. Astronomy. Who was that with? I don't know. Care of magical creatures. Exceeds expectations. Okay. Charms. Exceeds expectations. Okay, good. Defense against the dark arts. Outstanding. Okay, wait. Wait, who taught that last year? No, nobody taught that. That was just a test. Defense against the dark arts. Outstanding. That's nice. Divination. Poor. Oh, you got a poor in divination. Wait. Yeah, he wouldn't be good at that. Okay. What else? Is there anything else? Herbology. Exceeds expectations. History of magic. He got a dreadful. History of magic. Who is that? Oh, no. Who teaches that? Oh, yeah, that boring ghost teaches that. No wonder I wouldn't be. And you have to remember so many facts for history. Potions exceeds expectation. Transfiguration exceeds expectations. So, generally pretty good. Just divination and history of magic is what he's not good at. And he's really good with defense against the dark arts. Bins, because he faints. McGonagall was attacked during the divination test, so it's normal that his results were poor. Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. Oh, right. Huh. Harry read the parchment through several times, his breathing becoming easier with each reading. It was all right. Hey, buddy, come here. You okay? Yeah, you're okay. It was all right. He had always known that he would fail divination, and he had had no chance of passing history of magic, given that he had collapsed halfway through the examination. Right. But he had passed everything else. He ran his finger down the grades. He had passed well in transfiguration and herbology. He had even exceeded expectations at potions. Not bad. And best of all, he had achieved outstanding in defense against the dark arts. He looked round. Hermione had her back to him and had her head bent, but Ron was looking delighted. Only failed divination and history of magic, and who cares about them? He said happily to Harry. Here, swap. Harry glanced down Ron's grades. There was no outstandings there. Knew you'd be top in defense against the dark arts, said Ron, punching Harry on the shoulder. We've done all right, haven't we? Well done, said Mrs. Weasley proudly, ruffling Ron's head. 7 hours, that's more than Fred and George got together. Hermione, said Ginny tentatively, for Hermione still hadn't turned around. How did you do? Not bad, said Hermione in a small voice. Oh, come off it, said Ron, striding over to her and whipping her results out of her hand. Yep. 9 outstandings and 1 exceeds expectations in defense against the dark arts. He looked down at her, half amused, half exasperated. You're actually disappointed, aren't you? Hermione shook her head, but Harry laughed. Well, we're Newt students now, grinned Ron. Mum, are there any more sausages? Why is Hermione sad about this? Why is she sad about this? I don't know. Harry looked back down at his results. They were as good as he could have hoped for. He felt just one tiny twinge of regret. This was the end of his ambition to become an Auror. He had not secured the required potions grade. Oh. Okay. Okay. He had known all along that he wouldn't, but he still felt a sinking in his stomach as he looked again at that small, black E. Do you need an outstanding? Like an E's not enough? Okay. It was odd, really, seeing that it had been a Death Eater in disguise who had first told Harry he would make a good Auror. But somehow the idea had taken hold of him, and he couldn't really think of anything else he would like to be. Moreover, it had seemed the right destiny for him since he had heard the prophecy a month ago. Neither can live while the other survives. Wouldn't he be living up to the prophecy and giving himself the best chance of survival if he joined those highly trained wizards whose job it was to find and kill Voldemort? Oh, end of the chapter. Chapter 6, Draco's Detour. Interesting. Snape wants O's. Right. Snape wanted an outstanding. He was told last year that in order to continue with potions, he needed an O to be accepted into Snape's class. You know what? To be honest, I'm happy I'm reading this with all of you, because even if I was reading this by myself, half the time you'd be like, I don't know why. Why is this? But like, it's how many books? 5 books before this, full of details and things to remember that if I hadn't read them every year multiple times like all of you obviously have done, I wouldn't have caught as much. So that's very helpful. Chapter 6, Draco's Detour. Harry remained within the confines of Burrow's garden over the next few weeks. Time jump. He spent most of his days playing two-a-side Quidditch in the Weasley's orchard, and he and Hermione against Ron and Ginny. Hermione was dreadful and Ginny good, so they were reasonably well matched. And his evenings eating triple helpings of everything Mrs. Weasley put in front of him. It would have been a happy, peaceful holiday had it not been for the stories of disappearances, odd accidents, even of deaths now disappearing almost daily in the Prophet. Oh, things are ramping up, huh? Sometimes Bill and Mr. Weasley brought home news before it even reached the paper. To Mrs. Weasley's displeasure, Harry's 16th birthday celebrations were marred by grisly tidings brought to the party by Remus Lupin, who was looking gaunt and grim, his brown hair streaked liberally with gray, his clothes more ragged and patched than ever. Ooh, jeez.
There have been another couple of Dementor attacks,
he announced, as Mrs. Weasley passed him a large slice of birthday cake. Wait, his birthday? Whose birthday? Wait, did it just say it? Harry's 16th birthday. Sorry. It's one of those times when I read through and I just didn't clock it. Okay, oh, it's Harry's 16th birthday. Wow. Passed him a large slice of birthday cake.
And they found Igor Karkaroff's body in a shack up north.
What?
The dark mark had been set over it. Well, frankly, I'm surprised he stayed alive for even a year after deserting the Death Eaters. Sirius's brother Regulus only managed a few days as far as I can remember.
Yes, well, said Mrs. Weasley, frowning. Perhaps we should talk about something different. Oh, it's Bill. Bill. He's the super cool long-haired dude, right?
Oh, he's super cool. Did you hear about Did you hear about Florian Fortescue Remus? Asked Bill, who was being plied with wine by Fleur. The man who ran the ice cream place in Diagon Alley, Harry interrupted with an unpleasant hollow sensation in the pit of his stomach. He used to give me free ice creams. What happened to him? Dragged off by the look of his place.
Ooh, that sucks. Why? Asked Ron, while Mrs. Weasley pointedly glared at Bill. Sorry, such a big boy now. Our little boy from the cupboard is all grown up. He fled from Voldy, the idiot. Who did? If I don't know that, yeah.
Who knows? He must have upset them somehow. He was a good man, Florian.
Talking of
Diagon Alley, said Mr. Weasley, looks like Ollivander's gone too.
The Wand Maker? Said Ginny, looking startled.
That's the one. Shop's empty. No sign of a struggle. No one knows whether he left voluntarily or was kidnapped.
But wands? What will people do for wands?
They'll make do with other makers, said Lupin. But Ollivander was the best. And if the other side have got him, it's not so good for us.
The day after this rather gloomy birthday tea, their letters and book lists arrived from Hogwarts. Is this their last year, or do they have another one after this? Well, no, they have to have another. There's another book. Harry's included a surprise. He'd been made Quidditch captain. Woo! What? That gives you equal status with prefects, cried Hermione happily. You can use our special bathroom now and everything.
When you gotta go,
I can poop
it's toilet
in a special bathroom.
It's toilet time.
Okay, let's keep going. So he can poop somewhere else. Great. Wow. I remember when Charlie wore one of these, said Ron, examining the badge with glee. Harry, this is so cool. You're my captain. If you let me back on the team, I suppose. Well, I don't suppose we can put off a trip to Diagon Alley much longer now. You've got these, sighed Mrs. Weasley, looking down Ron's book list. We'll go on Saturday, as long as your father doesn't have to go into work again. I'm not going there without him. Mum, do you honestly think you know who's going to be hiding behind a bookshelf and flourishing blots? Sniggered Ron. Fortescue and Ollivander went on holiday, did they? Said Mrs. Weasley, firing up at once. If you think security's a laughing matter, you can stay behind and I'll get your things myself. No, I want to come. I want to see Fred and George's shop, said Ron hastily. Then you just buck up your ideas, young man, before I decide you're too immature to come with us, said Mrs. Weasley angrily, snatching up her clock, all 9 hands of which were still pointing at mortal peril and balancing on top of a pile of just laundered towels. And that goes for returning to Hogwarts as well. Well, wizards till 1800 used to poop and floor and then vanish it. Oh, man. Oh, come on. Come on, really? Ron turned to stare incredulously at Harry as his mother hoisted the laundry basket and the teetering clock into her arms and stormed out of the room. Blimey, can't even make a joke around here anymore. But Ron was careful not to be flippant about Voldemort over the next few days. Saturday dawned without any more outbursts from Mrs. Weasley, though she seemed very tense at breakfast. Bill, who would be staying at home with Fleur, much to Hermione and Ginny's pleasure, passed a full money bag across the table to Harry. "Where's mine?" demanded Ron at once, his eyes wide. That's already Harry's, idiot, said Bill. I got it out of your vault for you, Harry, because it's taking about 5 hours for the public to get their gold at the moment. The goblins have tightened security so much. 2 days ago, Archie Philpott had a probity probe stuck up his... Well, trust me, this way's easier. Thanks, Bill, said Harry, pocketing his gold. I almost thought she would write pocketed it.
He is always so thoughtful. He is always so thoughtful,
purred Fleur adoringly, stroking Bill's nose. Ginny mimed vomiting into her cereal behind Fleur. Harry choked over his cornflakes and Ron thumped him on the back. It was an overcast, murky day. One of the special Ministry of Magic cars in which Harry had ridden once before was awaiting them in the front yard when they emerged from the house pulling on their cloaks. It's good Dad can get us these again, said Ron appreciatively, stretching luxuriously as the car moved smoothly away from the burrow. Bill and Fleur waving from the kitchen window. He, Harry, Hermione, and Ginny were all sitting in roomy comfort in the back seat. Don't get used to it. It's only because of Harry, said Mr. Weasley over his shoulder. He and Mrs. Weasley were in front with the ministry driver. The front passenger seat had obligingly stretched into what resembled a two-seater sofa. He's been given top-grade security status, and will be joining up with additional security at the Leaky Cauldron too. Harry said nothing. He did not much fancy doing his shopping while surrounded by a battalion of Aurors. He had stowed his invisibility cloak in his backpack and felt that, if that was good enough for Dumbledore, it ought to be good enough for the Ministry. Though now he came to think of it, he was not sure the Ministry knew about his cloak. The driver, I don't know who it is, but let's give him a voice. There you are, then, said the driver in a surprisingly short while later, speaking for the first time as he slowed in Charing Cross Road and stopped outside the Leaky Cauldron. I'm to wait for you. Any idea how long you'll be? Oh, a couple of hours, I expect, said Mr. Weasley. Ah, good. He's here. Harry imitated Mr. Weasley and peered through the window. His heart leapt. There were no Aurors waiting outside the inn, but instead the gigantic black-bearded form of Rubus Hagrid. Awesome. The Hogwarts gamekeeper, wearing a long beaver skin coat, beaming at the sight of Harry's face and oblivious to the startled stares of passing muggles. Harry! Harry! No, wait, what's his voice again? Hagrid. There we go. Harry! He boomed, sweeping Harry into a bone-crushing hug the moment Harry had stepped out of the car. Buckbeak! Witherings, I mean. You should see him, Harry. He's so happy to be back in the open air. Glad he's pleased, said Harry, grinning as he massaged his ribs. We didn't know security meant you. I know. Just like old times, isn't it? See, the Ministry wanted to send a bunch of Aurors, but Dumbledore said I do, said Hagrid proudly, throwing out his chest and tucking his thumbs into his pockets. Let's get going, then. After you, Molly, Arthur. The Leaky Cauldron was, for the first time in Harry's memory, completely empty. Only Tom the landlord, wizened and toothless, Tom the landlord, I forget his voice, remained of the old crowd. He looked up hopefully as they entered, but before he could speak, Hagrid said importantly, Just passing through today, Tom. Sure you understand. Hogwarts business, you know. Tom nodded gloomily and returned to wiping glasses. Hermione, Harry, Hagrid, and the Weasleys walked through the bar and out into the chilly little courtyard at the back where the dustbins stood. Harry raised his pink umbrella and rapped a certain brick in the wall, which opened at once to form an archway onto a winding cobbled street. They stepped through the entrance and paused, looking around. Diagon Alley had changed. The colorful, glittering window displays of spellbooks, potion ingredients, and cauldrons were lost to view, hidden behind the large Ministry of Magic posters that had been pasted over them. Most of these somber purple posters carried blown-up versions of the security device on the Ministry pamphlets that had been sent out over the summer, but others bore moving black and white photographs of Death Eaters, known to be on the loose. Bellatrix Lestrange was sneering from the front of the nearest apothecary. What? Oh, the posters. Yeah, okay. A few windows were boarded up, including those of Florian Fortescue's ice cream parlor. On the other hand, a number of shabby-looking stalls had sprung up along the street. The nearest one, which had been erected outside Flourish and Blots under a striped, stained awning, had a cardboard sign pinned to its front. Amulets, effective against werewolves, dementors, and inferi. Okay, I'm gonna just read a little bit and then we're gonna stop. A seedy-looking little wizard was rattling armfuls of silver symbols on chains at passer-by. Seedy-looking. One for you, little girl, madam. Oh yeah, here we go. One for your little girl, madam. He called at Mrs. One for your little girl, madam. He called at Mrs. Weasley as they passed, leering at Ginny. Protect her pretty neck. Protect her pretty neck. If I were on duty, said Mr. Weasley, glaring angrily at the amulet seller. Yes, but don't go arresting anyone now, dear. We're in a hurry, said Mrs. Weasley, nervously consulting a list. I think we'd better do Madame Malkin's first. Hermione wants new dress robes, and Ron's showing much too much ankle in his school robes. And you must need new ones too, Harry. You've grown so much. Come on, everyone! Molly, it doesn't make sense for all of us to go to Madame Malkin's, said Mr. Weasley. Why don't those three go with Hagrid, and we can go to Flourish and Blots and get everyone's school books? I don't know, said Mrs. Weasley anxiously, clearly torn between a desire to finish the shopping quickly and the wish to stick together in a pack. Hagrid, do you think... Oh, don't fret. I'll be fine with me, Holly. No, don't fret. I'll be fine with me, Molly, said Hagrid soothingly, waving an airy hand the size of a dustbin lid. Mrs. Weasley did not look entirely convinced, but allowed the separation, scurrying off towards Flourish and Blots with her husband and Ginny, while Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Hagrid set off for Madame Malkin's. All right, we'll end there. This is a good amount of time with the Weasleys. Even though not tons happened, but this is a good amount of time. I enjoyed this chapter. Corona equals Voldemort. Or, okay. All right, friends. We're getting to the weekend here. I'm going to pick it up again on Monday. I read in the chat some people are having a little bit of a hard time. I'm sorry about that. I hope things get better. Much love to you. If you'd like, you join us on the Discord. There's people still connecting there. I don't know if you are already on there, but there's a link in the bio for the Discord. People can also share if they're going through something difficult, just to connect to people and have fun and talk and stuff like that. So check that out. Yeah, other than that, hope you have a nice weekend. I hope you can connect with friends or family members in some way. And we'll be back on Monday for more Magical World of Harry Potter and Hogwarts. Okay, everybody. Have a wonderful day. See you soon.